Hey there, Dr. Randall Hansen here, and today's tips for students deals with a really important topic and one that's maybe kind of skirted over sometimes, and that is stress. Now, don't get me wrong, college is an amazing time. It's a time of personal and intellectual and spiritual growth, development, maturation. It's amazing the difference between someone who comes into college 17, 18, 19 and when they graduate 21, 22, 23. I've had students who have met the first day of classes and then been at graduation, and the difference is just phenomenal. But to get from point A to point B, you have to deal with the big ugly monster of stress. But before I get into that, let me just say one more thing about stress. All stress isn't a bad thing. Stress is actually a good thing. If you look at charts, increased stress increases productivity. But then there's a point where stress too much and productivity goes crashing down. So don't let all the stress hang over your head. I'm going to talk about the 5 stressors and also talk about ways you can deal with those stress or find mechanisms to help you better deal with the stress. All right, so number 1, academic stress. Oh yeah, we professors, we certainly add to the stress. You have papers, you have projects, you have exams, you have labs, you have reading, you have studying, you have all sorts of things you need to get done. And you have multiple classes with multiple deadlines and all sorts of crazy stuff. And my best advice for dealing with the stress is get a time management system that works for you. Whether that's something in your phone, a big calendar on your wall in your dorm, or whatever it is, find what works for you and put all those assignments out for the term out there so you can see it and deal with it. Now, here's another little hint. If you have 3 big assignments due the same week or 3 tests on the same day, talk to those professors. I am always willing to reschedule a test if someone has 1 or 2 other tests that same day. It makes no sense to me. Why should you stay up all night and go crazy trying to study for all these tests when I can easily move mine? So not all professors are going to move their exams or due dates, but talk to them. And you'll be surprised, at least a few will do that. Number 2, personal stress. There's so much interpersonal relationships going on in college. It's learning more about yourself. It's learning how you deal with others better. It's problem roommates. It's self-image. It's peer pressure. And I strongly suggest you focus on your wellness, your personal wellness, and try to ignore all those others that are putting things into your head. But if you're having troubles, and especially if you're thinking about hurting yourself, please go to the counseling center. All universities and schools have counseling centers, and they can help you or direct you to other resources outside college that can. And I can't emphasize that enough. There's no stigma involved with that. Get the help you need. Number 3, yes, family stress. Oh yes, we know about family stress. Whether it's well-meaning parents that are just trying to encourage you, whether it's stress about finding the major or the right major, or changing from the wrong major, or whether it's why haven't you started looking for a job or careers, or what's your career path going to be? What about grad school? Parents and family members, they're well-meaning, but they can add a lot of stress to your situation. So again, try to find a way to placate them, to keep them at arm's length. But if not, again, go see the counseling center and get advice for how to deal with that, get strategies for how to deal with those parents and family members. Number 4, sadly, financial stress. I'm sure you've seen the numbers. The average college debt is just growing and growing for students. Tuition keeps rising and rising, And that's going to be a burden on you. It's going to be a stress, especially as you get closer to graduation. You think, how am I going to deal with these student loans and other debt that I have, that I incur? And the three things I can suggest is, number one, develop a budget, or learn how to develop a budget, then develop a budget and stick to that budget as much as possible. Keep costs to a minimum. Number two, consider an outside part-time job. Most of the students I've had in my career have been able to handle 10 to 15 hours working part-time. Some have even done more than that. But find out what works for you and use that money for at least your incidental expenses, maybe your books and social expenses, that kind of thing. Number three, talk to the financial aid office. These people might be able to point you in the direction of scholarships or other resources that you aren't aware of that you can at least apply for the next term. And then number five, the big stressor, future success. This deals with, what am I going to do after graduation? How am I going to get a job? Will it be the right kind of job? Will I be happy in the job? Will I get paid what I think I deserve? And then, of course, there are those who, what I call, or have the Peter Pan principle, which is they don't want to ever grow up. So I don't even want to talk about graduating, let alone the job. Well, the best advice I have for you is go to the Career Services office. I absolutely love almost every single person I've ever met in Career Services, and I've now met Career Services personnel from, 40 or 50 different schools and universities across the country, those I've worked for or spoken at. These people are dedicated to helping you. And so go talk to them about resumes, internships, networking, job hunting, job fairs, grad school, all these things. They have all the resources. Use them. Your tuition's paying for it. So those are my five major stressors in college: academic, personal, family, financial, future. But you can do it. Sometimes maybe with help, but you can fight and deal with these stressors and be successful. My final tip, 3 things you need to do in college. 1, get sleep. I know, all-nighters, I know, I've been there. Sleep lets you recharge your brain as well as your body. Do that. Number 2, get exercise. Whether it's just walking around campus, better yet, get out in nature. Fighting sides, forest bathing, look it up. Wonderful things for your brain, your body. And number 3, eat well. Don't eat fried, processed, sugary, junky food and drinks. Limit your alcohol. These things just wear down the body, and you need to have a strong mind and body to get through college and fight these stressors. All right. So, I wish you luck. Don't let the stress get to you. And until next time with my tips for students, this is Dr. Randall Hansen. Take care.